Hello my lovelies, I'm Chris from TechSpert and today we're going to be checking out the Godzilla of tablets. The Lenovo Tab Extreme, which earns that name with its laptop-sized display. Ideal for sketching, multitasking or simply vegging out to Netflix wherever you wander. I've been using the Lenovo Tab Extreme for around a week now, so here's my full review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now first off, it perhaps goes without saying that the Lenovo Tab Extreme is a bit of a beast. This bad boy is a 14.5-inch device. Pretty sure it's the biggest tablet I've ever reviewed. It weighs 740 grams and one-handed use is pretty much a write-off unless you happen to have biceps the size of a bear wrestler. No, this thing is really designed to sit on a desk or a table or some form of flat surface. Perhaps a nice credenza, if that's what you're into. The size aside, the design I really like. As you can see, reasonably skinny bezels surrounding that mighty display. There's not much in the way of wasted space. And it's reasonably slender too, although I did struggle to fit it in some of my smaller backpacks. Around the edges and the back you've got a 100% recycled aluminium frame and then up top a glass strip just to break up what would be an otherwise fairly perfunctory design. And that glass strip does get rather greasy if you happen to finger it, but thankfully the aluminium frame itself pretty resistant to scuffs and grease. And that's the bit that you'll find you're handling most often. That is, unless you slap on the protective cover, of course. This then completely conceals that back end, keeps it safe from scratches, scuffs, etc. And then this back end, which props it up, can be flipped around to cover the screen and also keep that safe from harm. Oh, and you only have the one choice of colour, this here Storm Grey model. Thrills. Now when you want to power on the Lenovo Tab Extreme, you do have a fingerprint sensor built into that edge-mounted power button. At first I thought that maybe this didn't work too well because sometimes it would take 2 or 3 taps for it to actually open up. But as usual, it turned out the problem was muggins here. I set up my fingerprint a second time and this time it works absolutely fine. And you've also got face unlock as a backup as well, and sometimes this works instantaneously and other times it takes a good 10 seconds thinking about it and then decides that you aren't you. I don't know, maybe it just got confused with all of the light shining off of my head. And let's have a gander at the software running here on the Lenovo Tab Extreme, and it is Android 13 but with Lenovo's ZUI, however you pronounce it, slathered on top. Still gives off reasonably stock vibes, though you'll notice a few little changes, like you've got the entertainment space when you flip this way instead of the Google Discover feed. This can suggest a whole bunch of stuff you might want to watch, so for instance it's clearly picked up on the fact I like horror movies and 80s and 90s schlock. You've also got a games feed, the latest games from Google Play, you've got Google Books, and a music section which unsurprisingly is mostly YouTube music and of course the likes of Google Podcasts as well. And ZUI also chucks in some features to take advantage of that ginormous display, but more on all that in a bit. And with the Lenovo Tab Extreme, you're guaranteed 3 OS upgrades and 4 years of security updates as well, which is a respectable amount. It means you shouldn't have to chuck this thing in the bin all too soon. I've had absolutely no trouble getting online whatsoever thanks to Wi-Fi 6E support. You've also got optional 5G support if you want to chuck a bit of extra cash at Lenovo. So now let's have a squint at that flippin' massive 14.5-inch screen. As I say, pretty sure this is the biggest display on any tablet I've ever reviewed, although the old memory gets a little bit hazy after, a good couple of decades of alcohol abuse. It's a 3K panel, so 3000 by 1876 pixel resolution, so despite the enormous size of this thing, those visuals are still crispier than a mega-sized bag of Walkers. As you'd hope from a premium device, it is an OLED display as well. You've got Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus support, so this thing is built for entertainment as well as staying productive. It's perfect for creators as well as just lazy gits who want to watch a bit of Netflix, Disney Plus, whatever. The contrast is very eye-pleasing indeed, and if you boost up that brightness, it hits around 500 nits. So the Lenovo Tab Extreme can be used outdoors. Although watching movies is a bit of a struggle when you do have light reflecting off of that shiny surface. It's definitely better for checking emails, messing around in apps, etc. The Lenovo Tab Extreme also supports up to 120Hz refresh. It's not an LTPO display, it can only hit 60, 90 or 120. And as you can see, you can stick it on 120 full time, otherwise I just left it on auto, which then boosted the refresh when needed. And certainly flipping around the UI and everything silky smooth. Now, I did have some issues with screen responsiveness my first couple of days with the Lenovo Tab Extreme. Sometimes, for instance, I'd be in YouTube and I'd poke a video and it would take a couple of prods before the tab actually realized I wanted it to do something. You'd just be sat there like, huh? Why are you poking me? Oh, Jesus Christ, how rude. Meanwhile, some other apps like Reddit were completely unresponsive, but a recent update seems to have sorted out these issues, so now everything's just working as it should. The sheer size of the Lenovo Tab Extreme means that it's ideal for multitasking, and you can actually have up to 4 apps running at once on this thing in a split screen setup that reminded me of GoldenEye couch battles of yesteryear. It's pretty easy to get the split screen action on the go and to rearrange those windows, although not everything always goes to plan. Some apps seem highly resistant to actually working in this mode, but thankfully Lenovo has added support for the likes of YouTube, which it didn't have just a few days ago. You can now finally run Drive in here as well, which is a massive relief. So yeah, the occasional bit of shonkiness aside, any multitaskers will love the Tab Extreme, and hopefully these little issues will get sorted in future updates. And as if running 4 apps side by side on the screen at once wasn't enough, you can also get a bunch of floating windows on the go, up to 10 in total in fact. Although at this point it is ever so slightly taking the piss, and to be fair, even just running 4 apps side by side, you tend to get a fair bit of slowdown going on, so I'd recommend probably sticking to 2 or 3. And sod all complaints when it comes to the sound. You've got 8 JBL speakers packed inside of the Lenovo Tab Extreme, so boost that volume all the way up and you'll fill an entire house with the sound. Or f***ing deafen yourself if you dare to venture too close. Here's an example of that power in action. Let's just boost the volume all the way up. The Zenfone 10 is absolutely, hands down, one of my favourite smartphones of 2023. If I had to sum it up in one word, that word would be goosh. And you can quote me on that on the poster, Jesus. So as the mic hopefully picked up, the sound is still nice and crystal clear, even on that top volume as well. Plenty of oomph, plenty of beef, got Dolby Atmos support. In fact, my only real complaint is that when the Tab Extreme is in landscape mode, as you generally have it for watching video and everything, the volume rocker is reversed, so pressing the left volume button will boost the volume up, and then pressing the right one will bump it back down again, which is completely counterintuitive. I don't understand why they couldn't just flip reverse it when it's in landscape mode, because it only works well in portrait mode when you don't tend to really fiddle around with the volume. Oh, and also there's no headphone jack on the Lenovo Tab Extreme, but the Bluetooth 5.3 wireless streaming works absolutely flawlessly. Oh, and also you can actually use the Lenovo Tab Extreme as a secondary display for other devices by plugging the input into the bottom USB 2.0 port, which is in DisplayPort compatible. And you can also output to another display using the middle USB 3.2 connection. A quick word on accessories as well. You can grab the Lenovo Tab Extreme with the stylus pen, which just tucks very neatly into this little alcove on the back of the folio cover. And with the precision pen, you don't get the natural feeling of sketching on paper that you do with some rivals like the Boox tabs, for instance. But it's certainly a responsive experience. If I had any creative talent whatsoever, I might try sketching up a masterpiece, but as you can probably tell, that's absolutely not the case. You can also use the Precision Pen Stylus as a remote control for the Lenovo Tab Extreme if you're into your business. Those business types, they do like a bit of slideshow action, quite handy for that. And you've got an anti-loss prevention alarm as well, so if you happen to wander away with your Tab Extreme but you've left your pen on your seat, your table, whatever, you will get a notification on your tab saying, "Oi mate, you want to get your ass back there." And yes, I love the storage. I love that you can just chuck your pen away in here when you're done with it, and that is how the pen actually charges up. And the Tab Extreme also comes with an optional keyboard accessory. This is just as easy to use. Just slap the tablet on there and you'll get a little ding-dong noise to show that they've paired up. And as you can see, the tablet kind of floats above the keyboard, and you can adjust the angle a slight amount, but no further back than this. So it's not really ideal if you've got the thing sat on your lap. Again, it's best off left on a desk or a table or whatever. And of course that keyboard is a great size as it's been slapped onto a 14.5-inch device, very similar to a lot of laptop keyboards. The travel is rather slight because it is a keyboard cover, but I still found that touch typing on this thing was a comfortable and speedy experience. Just the usual grumbles like the single row enter key. And that touchpad is of course hilariously weeny, but you don't need to worry about it because you've got a touch screen here anyway. Now, if you do an awful lot of the video chats, you'll probably love the Lenovo Tab Extreme's front-facing camera. It's a 13 megapixel effort, squirreled away in that teeny weeny little top bezel. And this offers a beautifully wide viewing angle, so you can pack absolutely tons of stuff into frame. This can actually record you at up to 4K resolution, and the visuals don't really seem Ultra HD. I've got to admit, when you are recording a 4K video, and you watch it back, but certainly more than up to the task for Microsoft Teams and Skype and whatever else you need to do. Certainly copes well with HDR style situations if you're forced to Skype in front of a massive off window. And you've also got plenty of features packed in there like auto panning and zoom in and a good bit of AI noise cancellation as well. And yes, around the back of the Lenovo Tab Extreme you do have a dual lens rear camera setup, a 13 megapixel main shooter, and a basic ultra wide angle shooter that you can swap to at any point if you so desire. But of course, loyal viewers already know my thoughts on people who use tablets to shoot photos and videos of their everyday existence. You're scum! You're less than subhuman scum! And it makes even less sense to wield this thing as a bloody camera because it's the size of a fucking capybara. And last up, the battery life, and the Lenovo Tab Extreme packs in a 12,300 mAh capacity cell, so you can actually record battery life in terms of days rather than hours. I got roughly 15 to 20 hours of mixed use depending on what I was up to on this thing, so it'll easily last me a couple of days before I have to bung a USB cable in it. And that's better than pretty much any laptop that I've tested recently, let alone tablets. And that battery may well be the size of Southampton, but thankfully the Tab Extreme doesn't take all day to charge back up. You've got a 68 watt bundled power adapter, chuck that in there, and you'll be ready for action again in no time at all. And that right there is my full final frank review on the Lenovo Tab Extreme. Certainly the biggest tablet I've ever wielded, and a pretty bloody good one if you want to get a good bit of multitasking on the go, or you just want to kick back with a good bit of entertainment, because that screen is absolutely stunning. You've got a bit of extra flexibility thanks to the stylus and the keyboard dock. Battery life is absolutely sublime as well. Just a few little kinks here and there that need to be sorted out, but I'm sure that Lenovo will be right on it. So that's what I think of the Tab Extreme anyway. It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do poke, subscribe, and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. And have yourselves a really good rest of the week. Cheers!